just put my slides in full screen mode and then we'll get started. Okay, so screen, get started. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining from. And welcome to this session on welcoming MuleSoft RPA, how to streamline your workflows with MuleSoft. I believe this is one of the two MuleSoft sessions or non-Salesforce sessions in that sense at this event. And over the next 45 minutes, I'll tell you about this new product called MuleSoft RPA, which is aimed at the hyper automation. Exactly will we cover? We'll talk about what is hyper automation. It's not a new concept. It's been around, but it's kind of been. We'll talk about what is MuleSoft RPA evolved over time. Then we'll talk RPA to streamline your usual. And then I'll also talk about some cases where MuleSoft RPA is a good fit. And since it's a new product and this is actually a repeat of the Dreamforce session, which I did. So I was recommended by the Salesforce team and connected to Mark. There was a lot of interest at Dreamforce because, as I said, new product, not enough information available. So I'll leave plenty of time for questions and answers. And that in mind, this is a slightly longer session. So thank you, Vicky, and thank you, Mark, for allowing me more time for this. A little bit. A lot of people, but I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem since 2007. I to Salesforce since 2007 because I became an MVP in 2016. I work as a chief technology evangelist at a company called Cloudworks. Since I've been around, certifications I've presented at multiple both official Salesforce events and community. I lead a Salesforce architect group in the Pink City of in India. I used to be a certified technical. One of the reasons I have so many certifications. I used to teach Tailored Academy courses. I'm a MuleSoft market champion for MuleSoft. So I do want to cover that because, again, as I said, MuleSoft RPA is a new product. So if there is this course or accreditation called Mule's Go-to-Market Champion for MuleSoft Automation, which will definitely help you, and it will also help your employer in many ways. As I said, this was a session which I presented. Considering the amount of interest, I've kind of carried on and I've been presenting about it at multiple events. And again, thankful to Vicky and Mark for. So what exactly is hyper automation and MuleSoft RPA? So we often say that hyper automation in general aims at solving what is called as the last automation. Just double check that. Okay, it is. So going back, typically when you're running, when you are doing business automation, it's not easy, and the last mile is typically the hardest. Looking for tasks which are done by humans, which are tedious, but something also which can be automated, and that is exactly what this image represents, and that is what hyper automation aims to solve. So whether that is other RPA platforms like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, the overall reduce human effort, reduce manual dependencies, and in the process try and make the processes more efficient. So we'll talk about how MuleSoft RPA does that. I'll show you a couple of examples using a demo as well, so you get the idea. So what exactly I said earlier, it's not a new concept. If you are old like I am, and if you have been in the industry for a long time, like even when there were mainframes and legacy systems, there was automation being done. There were bots being developed, but the terminologies have changed a little bit, and the way those bots operate and the use cases have evolved as well. So outcome through a redesigned process with, again, minimal human intervention. There is a human aspect involved. If you can eliminate that, if you can automate that and make the process more efficient, that is the overall objective. And again, it runs and spans across multiple technologies. Heard about BPM platforms like business process management platforms like APM, several other low-code platforms in this domain which are trying to leverage RPA and make processes more efficient. Integration as a service, obviously MuleSoft Anypoint Platform, analytics, BI, Tableau, data lakes, like they also use of RPA in bits and pieces to make processes efficient. Machine learning, AI, there is a ton of work happening in this space. AWS, almost all of these companies are kind of leading the charge with developing automation. So it's also possible to do no-code process integration. As I said, MuleSoft Composer, there was a session by Joey Chan earlier in the day on that. And then robotic process automation. As I said, this has been a fiercely contested market segment for a while now, and surprised that MuleSoft decided to enter it as well. So there's a little bit of history. MuleSoft actually acquired a company called which was the original product of the hyper automation platform. It has now been subsequently been rebranded as MuleSoft RPA. It went live or GA on 1st of August 2022. And since then the product has been what exactly is MuleSoft RPA, and why should you care about it, or why should you try and learn it? It is the overall missing puzzle for Salesforce for automation as far as doing an end-to-end solution is concerned. We all know that Salesforce is probably world's leading CRM. It has integration thanks to the Anypoint platform. It has analytics thanks to Tableau CRM. Piece in terms of, again, talking about that last mile problem of automation, that everything there was a human aspect to everything, and that is what MuleSoft RPA will eliminate. So MuleSoft RPA, Salesforce is now really well positioned to offer end-to-end automation services. How does it happen? You have like your core platform, which also has process automation using declarative tools, using point and click as well. You have Anypoint platform, which allows you to build API integrations. You have MuleSoft Composer, which actually allows you to do integrations using the, and then you have can actually do a lot of things. It can talk to legacy systems, it can scrape screens, it can process documents, and I'll again show you a couple of examples of how these things happen. Is the architecture is fairly decoupled in that sense. You can actually plug it to Salesforce Einstein, which is in platform AI services, or you could use something like AWS SageMaker, Google Cloud Vision API, or other external services, or you could also use IDP platforms like Abby, and you can use obviously platforms like Tableau Analytics as well. So again, there was, since Composer is also a part of the overall RPA offering coupled with Anypoint, I will briefly touch about it. So Composer is a no-code integration platform. The idea is that you can without writing any line of code. So how do they do it? They have built in multiple connectors. About this number is obsolete. It's I think close to 30 now. You can basically connect your Salesforce org to these connectors, and these can act as data sources for it's also possible to connect to an HTTP endpoint. So basically anything that offers a REST endpoint can also be connected, and you are able to design, build, and monitor your integration workflow through Salesforce or MuleSoft Anypoint platform. How RPA? So RPA comes with a toolbox of a lot of functions. And if you think about what operations you can typically automate in a business, something like there is an email, which, for example, orders come in via email, or claims which come in via email, and you constantly have a person checking and then starting that process. So what if a bot takes care of that email polling, and what if a bot takes care of a number of operations which need not necessarily be done by a human? So for example, one of the tasks is moving files to a specific S3 or somewhere else. That is something which a bot can do as well. It can also read and create Excel files. It can manipulate data. It can call REST endpoints as well. And it can also use native OCR and IDP solutions to extract data from images. So you solution which can do just mundane tasks, but it is also intelligent in a way that it can actually extract data from images and other documents as well. And again, coupled with the no-code integration paradigm from Salesforce and Anypoint, it makes a very powerful trio of applications. So there is always a lot of confusion around MuleSoft has its own product line. Salesforce has its own product line. There is Composer. There is MuleSoft RPA. Just give me a second. Just want to make sure. Okay, I think everything should be visible. Yeah. So there is a confusion around like what purpose tools serve, what is the audience for those tools, what are the skills required for those tools. And if you see, like this image was actually created by Amir Khan, who's one of the MuleSoft evangelists. He's been doing a phenomenal soft RPA, and I took his permission to use this. So the overall idea is Composer is mostly aimed at business teams. MuleSoft RPA is aimed at both business and IT, because you typically want to automate some of the IT problems, and Anypoint is API driven, and it's typically IT. In terms of apps, like Composer allows you to connect to multiple sources. RPA is aimed at, as I said, some use cases which can. Point is the models are fairly flexible. You can deploy it on-prem, you can deploy it cloud, you can do a hybrid deployment as well. As I said, is along the philosophy of no code and low code, so point and click. RPA, a lot of it is UI automation, and then Anypoint is essentially you're writing APIs to do automation. Skills. Composer and RPA, I would say, is somewhat similar. Like you don't necessarily need a programming background. Anypoint, you do need to have some programming background to be able to write endpoints. Use cases. Composer is basically for, as I said, easy to automate tasks which have some sort of an integration interface. RPA is typically for apps or systems which do not have an API. There is unstructured data available that you want to process. So in those cases, RPA is a and then Anypoint is obviously anywhere you're talking about APIs, then Anypoint is the way to move forward. So Composer has a Composer interface which is available through your Salesforce org. RPA has three components: RPA Builder and RPA Recorder. The problem with MuleSoft RPA, or rather the limitation currently MuleSoft RPA has, that two of these tools, RPA Builder and RPA Recorder, run only on Windows. At the moment, it's on the roadmap, but currently it's Windows only offering. And Anypoint, obviously, you have Anypoint platform, Anypoint exchange, and so on. And again, the overall objectives like Composer, process automation, MuleSoft RPA, human task automation, system integration is for Anypoint. And the overall objective collectively is boost productivity, increase efficiency, streamline the processes, and offer a universal platform which can basically do the end-to-end. Exactly is Composer. I'll keep it short because, as I said, there was earlier a session from Joey on Composers. It's connectors, low code pattern. You just specify what you want to hook up to, and then what are the conditions in which the data should be fetched. What are the corresponding actions? So it's very much like a flowchart. You are basically telling what happens next and what data to get from where. So in terms of the overall architecture, if I were to simplify it, and it can get fairly complex, as you'll see in the slides, this is a simplistic representation of how RPA can be. You have the Salesforce managed package, you have the MuleSoft web application, you have triggers, which could be a system event, or you could also schedule things. And then, as I said, Composer, you can also build it like a flowchart. If certain action happens, do this. You can also run loops, and then Composer connectors are call to these, make calls to these specific data sources, or you can also call generic REST APIs. This is the overall architecture with everything represented on one image. A little bit intimidating, but I'll try and break it down piece by piece. So in the middle, you have the RPA layer, which basically your RPA manager, you have RPA recorder, and you are trying to build bots which can eliminate human effort. On the left, you have MuleSoft talks to like any of these data sources. Composer can typically trigger an RPA bot, and then it also can leverage like Anypoint exchange and any of the components which have been published on it. Also leverage Mule applications which are published on Anypoint platform, which obviously runs on the Mule runtime. It is obviously possible to use only Composer, like do some integration, do not do the automation. But again, if you have to use everything together, this is typically how it would work. Okay, so let's talk about like there is a significant limitation currently with MuleSoft RPA that some of the components are Windows only, and I'm on a Mac. So what I'll do is I'll actually show you, record it, and I'll show you that recording. But let's first talk about the use case. So a very simple use case, which I told you, like there is a sales operations team. It receives orders via email. They have to check out continuously. They check the email for orders. They have to find the email with the order attachment. They are able to open and download individual orders to confirm the customer details, which is basically checked in Salesforce. They create an order record in Salesforce. We attach the order PDF in the order record in Salesforce. They go to a legacy system and create an invoice in that legacy system, and then they reply to the customer. The problem with this particular process is there is a lot of manual steps. So I need a person who's constantly checking the email. He's trying to find the order. He's then going into Salesforce, creating that order, attaching the order PDF, then going into another legacy system, creating the again sending an email to the customer. So this process is clearly not scalable. There are challenges. It has increased time and cost to complete the task. Probability of human errors, which can cause downstream. And then this is all very, very repetitive, right? Nobody would want to do this over, and this is unstimulating and repetitive, and typically will not lead to staff satisfaction. So this is why it is a case to automate using. Let's look at how it would work if we were to automate this using MuleSoft RPA. Time. I think we are good. So going back to work in terms of if we are automating it using Composer and MuleSoft RPA, sales order email comes in. Composer is actually connected to the email, so I don't need a person to be monitoring the email constantly. Email comes in, Composer is able to check that. It is able to trigger a bot. What that bot does, it reads that email, downloads those attachments, then uploads those attachments to S3, use OCR to extract the order data. Once I extract the order data, I actually run quality checks on it, regular expressions. If I find that the quality is good, then I follow the happy path. I go into Salesforce, my bot goes into, so everything on the right hand side is being done by my bot. It goes into Salesforce, gets an order record, then goes into the legacy system, enters the invoice, updates the order status in Salesforce, and also sends a notification to ops team that there is a new order that has come in. And we can also additionally inform the customer using Twilio SMS that there is an order which has been, your order has been received. So this is the happy path. There is also a path where, let's say the handwriting in the order was as poor as my handwriting, and OCR was not able to detect. Then what we can do is we can actually create a human task, which would send a sales ops notification that there is an order and we are not able to retrieve the information from that order. We can review and correct the order data and then submit that data. So this could be done by a human, or we could also use an external system like AWS, and we'll actually see a demo of that as well in terms of how, even in the cases, edge cases, where we have actually ended up with a document which cannot be handled by MuleSoft RPA natively, we can actually supplement it using external systems and do end-to-end automation. So first look at the happy path, and let's look at how would it work. So as I said, this typically runs on Windows, but the first thing is I have a MuleSoft Composer, which is actually looking that if a new email comes in, then what is it doing? RPA process, which is special order fulfillment. Okay, so let's look at it. And this is my Windows machine where I recorded this demo. So my bot has started. There is an email which came in. It is downloading the attachment first up, and at every step you will see that it is actually telling me what is happening. Now it's uploading the attachment to S3. The attachment is uploaded to S3. That is the attachment name, and this is the local attachment. Sorry, the attachment will be uploaded to S3 now. It is currently downloaded. So we will use the AWS S3 CLI SDK. We specify the name of the file. We specify where does it need to be uploaded. Now it's gone to S3. We will actually process the image and extract the order information from that image. Okay, that is happening now. This is the information that was downloaded. Now we are going to create a record in Salesforce using the order record. Once that happens, you will see that. So now it's calling the order experience API, which is basically a call to Salesforce. It is successful, returns an order record. I go into Salesforce. I check whether a new record has been created. It has been created. And if you saw the PDF, there were two line items on that order, and we can see that both are showing up as the order products here. So this, as I said, is a simple happy path. Now, currently the order is in draft status, because what I also need to do is I actually need to do a few other things, which is like post in Slack, which happens through my bot. So my sales operations team knows that a particular order has been created. You need to go and fulfill it. Now I mark it as fulfilled. Once I do that, it should actually trigger the bot, and it should actually go into my invoicing system or the accounting system and also create an invoice there. So it's a simple web application that I have created. So you'll see that it's all being done by the bot. So bot actually launches the application. It already has the details from the order in terms of who's the vendor, vendor name, vendor number, invoice number, date, total, the line items, quantity, and then it goes and submits. So everything is done. The order has been, invoice has been updated on the accounting website. I come back to the status of the order, and this is the Twilio notification that I actually mentioned earlier. So this is the end-to-end happy path with absolutely zero human intervention. So now let's look at the non-happy path, or the path where, again, as I said, the confidence level in whatever information that we extracted from the document is not great. So in that case, we don't go here. We actually come here. We create in AWS what we call as a human task. And then let's see actually how in terms that works. So again, looking at how this would work. Initial part remains the same. Like the composer checks the email, triggers an RPA bot, and then the RPA bot is able to extract the image. And then what we do is, since we have downloaded the image and it's not legible, what we try to do is we use AWS Extract, which is again AWS document. So what it will try and do is it will try and make sense out of the image that we have fed to it. So this is again a tool which is running on my Windows machine. It has generated the output. We go and see what has happened. So it is mentioned that now our output is available from Textract, and we actually mention. So this is the output that it generated, and the power of Textract is that it's also able to derive a lot of information, but on top of it also offers a lot of flexibilities. For example, Textract decoded some information wrong, so date was wrong or phone number was missing. I can actually go into that Extract interface and I can actually update that information in real time. So now I'm updating the phone number because for whatever reasons, like the phone number was poorly written or poorly formatted and it could not detect it. I can also omit certain key value pairs. So I have decided I don't need that key value pair. This one, again, special order, I don't need it. And then I can submit it. So once I do that, now all the metadata that I wanted to store along with the order has been done. What then happens is I have a monitoring API which is polling every 30 seconds. And as soon as it gets the information from Textract, again, it goes into Salesforce, creates a record, order record, and then we can see that a new order has been created. Again, it will have the line items, and the rest of the flow is again the same. So again, as I said, the flexibility is that you can actually do it through the native OCR capabilities that come with RPA, or you can use external tools such as AWS Extract, Google Cloud Vision API. There are IDP platforms like Abby as well. So a quick recap, the overall objective of MuleSoft RPA, streamlining your workflows by automating human repetitive tasks, capture and automate workflows, whether it's UI, document, image, point and click tools. And I come with a prior UI path experience. And again, this space is very, very fascinating. Like if business automation is something that interests you, and uh, platforms like UiPath Automation Anywhere, they have been around for a long, long time, and they have a massive advantage when it comes to core automation capabilities. But the advantage that Salesforce and MuleSoft have is that they can now offer the end-to-end bucket of solutions, which some of the other providers don't have. And as we say, they can eliminate swivel chair work. There is no need to copy data between systems. There is no need to have whether that's an API on-premise, in the cloud, hybrid environment. It can deal with everything. So you can enable end-to-end automation at scale. So, for example, task that I showed you when it was being done by a human, it was clearly not a scalable process. Now you can reuse and compose RPA securely with Customer 360, Anypoint Platform, and Composer as well. There are some really good material available on MuleSoft RPA. It's not very well publicized, but these are QR codes which you should be able to scan, and these are really good links to follow. So there is a trail, and then there is a group on Trailblazer community as well, which is focused on MuleSoft RPA. That is all in terms of the content as far as what I wanted to present. I believe we still have time for Q&A. Any questions which I can help answer, and I'm hoping this was helpful. Any questions anybody has? Okay, I'll stick around for a while. Somebody has any questions? I don't see anything in the Q&A panel as of now, but I'll be here since we have time. So if any questions pop in, I'll be happy to answer those. These are my contact details in case you have any queries. And thank you once again for attending, and thanks to Vicky and Mark once again for this opportunity, and enjoy the rest of Automation Dreaming. Okay, so there's a question from